I brought this particular group together because we're artists, we're curators, we're art writers, we own galleries. We're deeply invested in creativity. And even those of us here who don't work in the arts directly, we seek out the kinds of experiences that art can give us. That kind of moment when you're at a show and you're like, oh my God, wait, something has sort of changed. Like an artist has like changed the way you saw something. Maybe heightened your senses at a certain moment, expanded your world. Those moments in front of an artwork are the most treasured, I think, for all of us. And, you know, you'd think, like right now, that we have more opportunities than ever for this, right? We're like, oh, there's art galleries everywhere, here in Bushwick, Chelsea, you know, globally. There are art fairs every other week on every other continent, and usually you have to go from one to the next. And there's biennials, and there's triennials, and there's quinquennials, which is whatever, every 5 years. That Greater New York is. It's every 5 years. It's a quinquennial, I'm pretty sure. And so you know, all these opportunities, right? And our Facebook feed and our Instagram feed, I mean, constantly we're looking at these images, like this should be amazing. Yet, I think for me, something feels kind of not quite right. And like when I go to an art fair, I feel very small, very overwhelmed, and deeply lame. Like I have no friends, and I'm not networked, and it doesn't feel good. It's like really bad high school. And like I walk through and I'm like, oh, there's an image, there's a painting there, and there's something, and there's another thing, and it becomes this kind of stream of images and things that I walk by. And then like I'll run into someone I know, and I'm like, oh my God, I know someone here, and when we talk, and we're like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by the show right now. And like, have you seen the Gagosian booth? And like, are you going to freeze next week in London? So it's kind of like this kind of nonstop, like we're on the way to somewhere, always on the way, never arriving, and somehow always out of reach is that very special experience that we're really seeking. So I got super bummed about this. You know, I was really down. And I thought about, is there some way that what can I do? Is there some way I can change this? And, you know, I searched high and low, and then I realized that perhaps the answer was in fact very close at hand. And that the answer may have been in my lap at the time, curled up. And that answer was my dog, Rocky. Let me introduce you. Rocky would be here this evening, and he is in the car, but he was barking at everyone as they came in, so he'll maybe make an appearance later. But Rocky is a Morkie. That's a Yorkie Maltese mix. And we met a couple years ago when he was living in a Soho shelter. And I met him on a Monday, and on Tuesday, I asked if he wanted to move in with me. And he said yes, and we became good friends. And as I do with all my friends, we started going to galleries together. And, you know, I was concerned at first because Rocky hadn't studied art history. And I thought this could, you know, he might not get it, right? We should know, right? And, but, you know, he was game. Like every time, you know, I opened a gallery door for him, Rocky was on board. He was game. So, you know, then as our outings became more frequent, I noticed that he was really enjoying himself. And I said, Rocky, do you want to go to the galleries? And he'd be like, like really excited. And I was still really not loving it. I was kind of like, I gotta go to the galleries, you know, it's my job. So I started watching him, and I realized that Rocky, in fact, had something to teach me, to teach all of us, about how to find joy again in looking at art. And tonight, I'm going to share with you the 5 things that Rocky taught me about art and how to love it again.